This video is entitled The Shawshank Redemption, Insanity and Persistence. Now, there's a commonly used definition of insanity that I've always had a problem with. That being, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting different results. Now, I've always had a problem with that, and to me that's not insanity. I know what they're getting at if you do the exact same thing, like on a scientific, controlled level, like an experiment, and you expect different results. Yeah, that's insane, but that's not often how this quote is interpreted by people, and I've always thought, is there something going on with this quote? Is it a bit subversive, trying to sort of mislead people? I don't know, it's never sat right with me, and I've heard the quote is attributed to Einstein, you know, the greatest genius of all time, who doesn't really have any inventions or anything that we use in the modern world. But he's the greatest genius. Don't look at Da Vinci, don't look at Nikola Tesla, or all these other scientists whose inventions we use every day and who were really pushing the envelope with science. No, look at Einstein, who just has theoretical nonsense that no one can prove either way. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is an Einstein quote. It certainly sounds like something he would say. So I would say doing the same thing over and over and over again, but expecting different results, could also be perceived as the definition of persistence, which a very persistent person is often perceived as insane by regular people until they see the results of what persistence can lead to. And I think that's why I've always had a problem with this quote, because the thing that separates people who achieve from those who don't is usually persistence, or at least the willingness to persist, which maybe an underachiever could perceive as insane, and it might be that perception that's holding them back, as they don't persist in anything. What's the point, they think? So there is a thin line between madness and genius, but I think the difference between madness and genius is often quite obvious, and it normally comes out in the results. So I think a better definition of insanity is more like a lack of self-control, or a warped perception of reality, like someone cannot perceive reality the way it is, the way a normal person would be able to. They have malfunctioning cognitive process. Something is wrong with the way they perceive things or the way they think. They are unable to divide fantasy from reality. And I think there's a lot of people walking around like that who would not necessarily be considered insane. But I think insanity is on the rise, as there are more and more people out there who are unable to separate fantasy from reality, and they clearly have a malfunctioning cognitive process. But the number of people out there being persistent, I would say, is probably going down. So yeah, the dictionary doesn't say attempting the same thing over and over again is insanity. It says the state of being seriously mental ill, madness. Seriously mentally ill, that is. Madness. And there's words here like lunacy, instability, unsoundness of mind, loss of reason. Yes, this is an inability to assess reality, or an inability to act appropriately, a loss of control. And here it has here extreme foolishness or irrationality. The same thing, unable to perceive reality and maybe making decisions that would show that you are stupid or an idiot, or that you are mad. Persistence, on the other hand, the definition being the fact of continuing an opinion or course of action in spite of difficulty or opposition, or improbability, I might say. Some say the fool who persists in his folly becomes wise. But perseverance, tenacity, determination, resolve, resolution, staying power, patience, endurance, application, diligence, these are all very positive attributes that, if you looked at the Einstein definition of insanity, you may perceive as negative. Now, a perfect illustration of this is everyone's favorite story, The Shawshank Redemption. I think that is probably one of the most popular movies of all time amongst people who've watched it, because it is so relatable to humans. And humans love a story of overcoming adversity, because everyone knows how hard that is to do. And especially when you look at the story of Andy Dufresne, it was so unlikely that that guy would ever be able to make it in prison. But not only that, turn everything around, actually improve the place, and then escape. And the way he did that was through persistence, despite all odds. It would have looked completely insane to all of those within the prison who did nothing and just accepted their fate. But the insane, persistent man, Andy Dufresne, showed them all wrong. And I would put it out there that he was the most sane man in the entire prison. So, yeah, doing the same thing over and over again is not a good definition of insanity. It's a good definition of persistence. So Andy wrote a letter to the government every week. He wrote the same letter requesting more books and funding to improve the prison library. I think it was like 5 or 6 years he persisted. He wrote a letter every week, expecting a different result, even though after years and years he got no reply. Now, was that insane, or was that persistence? He did the exact same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, and eventually he got it. And when he got the funding, they said, please, please stop sending us letters. And he said, from now on, I'm going to send 2 letters. So persistence can lead to results. And Andy, in an insane environment, managed through persistence to improve it and make it less insane, especially for him. Now compare Andy to everyone else inside the prison, and it's pretty clear to see which is the way to be. He improved his environment. He was in an insane situation and he made some sanity out of it, and he did this in many ways. Basically, Andy Dufresne represents the life instinct that just refuses to die despite all odds. The hero's journey. The overcoming of adversity through will and effort. So this is essentially why Jordan Peterson's "clean your room" quote is so powerful. Of course, it's totally superficial, meaningless crap coming from him, because he doesn't expand upon it at all. He just knows that it'll tickle people's fancy, but they don't necessarily know why. The reason for this is cleaning your room is the absolute least amount of effort you could put in to negate what is known as the death instinct, or entropy. Nature's constant pull towards destruction, death, extinction, corrosion, all that, decay. Probably decay is the best word. That everything decays naturally, and such as your room getting dirty or full of dust or mess, until you put some effort in. You go against the death instinct, put some effort in, and become the life instinct, which is growth, improvement, getting off your ass and cleaning your room. But that is the absolute lowest level thing that you could possibly do. And Jordan Peterson likes to leave it there. I don't even know if he talks about the death instinct versus the life instinct. And that what a lot of people do, including all the people in the prison around Andy, is that they become seduced by the death instinct, and they start to gather dust just like their room. So it's the people who recognize this, keep their room clean, and negate the death instinct, fight entropy. These are the people who achieve. So Andy improved his life and the lives of those around him. He always did what he thought was right. The prison represents the death instinct that captures the majority of men. It is entropy, decay, complacency, acceptance of bad situation, all that sort of stuff. And the only way out is persistence. Through persistence, Andy acquired his freedom. There is a greater lesson to this story. Until next time. Okay, as I mentioned in a previous video, I have a new book out which you can get your hands on right now. It is available from Amazon in paperback and Kindle, and I'll provide a link in the description. One thing I forgot to mention about this book in the previous video is that it contains quite a lot of humor. It is somewhat a serious book, but it is mostly tongue-in-cheek and quite light-hearted. It doesn't take itself too seriously. So I thought I would add that it is quite a lot of humor involved, and I'm sure you will be laughing at several stages throughout the book. So yeah, get your hands on it right now. Maxims at Amazon.com.